Hey, back again. Happy Tuesday, folks. So, I have a new light, I have a mic. I am excited. Let me also go live on Facebook so I can get that done. Oh, that's one of my clients. Okay, let me focus. I don't always do this, but I want to do both. And let's see, what did I name? I always do this. I'm like, what did I name it tonight? So tonight is part 2, navigating the home search without being overwhelmed. So let's say navigating the home search without being overwhelmed. Of course they start vacuuming as soon as I start this live. No problem. Okay. Going live now, and I will also be sharing my screen. Okay, I am live. Yes, so I'm live on Facebook and YouTube for the second Tuesday. I have a little bit of a different setup, so we'll see how this works. So, anyway, welcome back. So, this live this week is about part 2 for buyers about the home purchase guide. So, if you're a buyer right now, which if you know anything about, if you live under a rock, you would probably still know that interest rates have decreased. And people are very excited about that. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Last week we did talk about finances and we covered very high level what you need to be looking at as far as your finances and when you're purchasing a home. And today we'll do a little bit of recap of that because I think it's so important. It's the first step, it's the most important step. It is a tedious step, but it's so necessary to make the rest of the transaction run smoothly. So I want to make sure I have my slides pulled up, and also I want to make sure I can share them. So, and I'll give people a few minutes to, hi, thanks for coming. Part 2 of navigating the home search. Well, actually, part 2 of buyer guide, but navigating the home search is part 2. Sullivan from, is that Dominican? Is that the Dominican flag? What flag is that? I can't really see. It's so small. It's so small. Tell me where you're from. Last time I was talking to some people on TikTok and they were like, I'm from Germany. The home purchase process is so different. And I was like, that's interesting. Tell me more. But yeah, I'll just give people a moment to get in while I get set up. Lives are so new for me. This is just my second live that I've ever done. Well, no, this might be my third now because I did go live at my open house this past weekend. But and yeah, they started vacuuming, so that's the thing. But yeah, I went live at my open house. I'm just trying to do more live, so just like get it done first of all, rip off the band-aid, get all the information that I have out, and then in the process, if it helps someone, even better, because that's what I'm here to do, right? I'm here to help buyers and sellers with navigating their, one of the biggest things they will do in their life, right? One of the biggest things you will do in your life financially is buying a home, selling a home, buying a home, selling a home, investing in homes, right? So I'm here to help you navigate that time. And just like any other time in our lives, like I think about women, most women, we don't go in the yard and have the baby by ourselves, right? We want nurses and doctors and you know, night nurses to help us even when we do have the baby. So they're vacuuming out there. I don't know if you guys can hear the vacuum, but hopefully it stops soon. But yeah, so this is like any other milestone in your life that you want someone to help you with it. So, and it should feel exciting, right? It shouldn't feel exhausting. When you're looking for a home, it should feel exciting. It shouldn't feel exhausting. If you've ever been overwhelmed by scrolling through homes, I don't know if you've ever felt that way, but like just overwhelmed by scrolling through homes, and like it could just be crazy. I'm sorry, the vacuum is really throwing me off because I know it's not that much dirt in front of this door. So I'm like, just vacuum and move on. But anywho. So my goal by the end of this live is to make sure you understand how to search for a home with intention and not that sense of like anxiety, right? So yeah, we can get into it. Let me see if I can share my screen with my slides. So now if you're on Facebook, I got to figure out a way to post the slides. I think I will post them in my business page, Navigating Real Estate with Tiff. So if you don't follow my business page, go ahead and follow my business page on Facebook, because it would be great for you to get the slides. No worries. So it'd be great for you to get the slides from there. So I'll probably post them in chunks. So I don't want to overwhelm anyone. And I don't want the information to be like too much. She is still back. But I'll probably post them there. But yeah, on YouTube, you guys will get the slides right now. And I can't believe we're already 7 minutes in. So, okay, so here we go. Let's see. Where are these wonderful slides? Okay. All right, let's see. Okie dokie, artichoke. All right, we are live and we're going to share. And let's see, are we sharing? It looks like we are sharing. Yeah, so step 2, the home search. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and do a quick recap. Quick recap. I promise you're going to be quick. Before we jump into the search, let's do a quick recap of finances because this is the foundation. So last time we covered a couple of things, gathering your documents, obtaining pre-approval, sourcing your down payment, and preparing for additional costs. And here's the thing, here's why this matters. The strongest searches start after your finances are clear. So once your numbers are solid, like we know exactly the budget we're going for, the search becomes so much more focused and less frustrating because I always use an example, but you don't want to be looking for a $1.5 million house when your budget is 750. So if your budget is 750,000, great. We're not looking at $1.5 million houses, right? So that was something that we talked about last week. If you have any questions about the financial part, please let me know. Feel free to DM me. One part that I really did not cover last week because, like I said, it was so much information I did not want to overwhelm was credit score specifically. So I put a little bit of credit score stuff in here this time, but these things are changing rapidly. Like there was something on the internet just the other day saying that, oh, they're not going to be considering credit score, they're going to be considering something else. But anyway, let's talk credit score just for a moment, not to scare you, but to really empower you with the knowledge that you need. So your credit score plays a role in your interest rate, the type of loan that you can get, sometimes even how competitive your offer can be, right? So let's walk through these really quickly. So we have excellent, good, fair, and, you know, FHA loans can start as low as 580 with 3.5% down, right? So obviously, excellent gives you the best rates and terms available, right? It's A plus 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 plus, and that's a 740 plus. And these can range. This is not hard and fast rule. Please don't write me saying, Tiffany, that was wrong. It was actually 741 plus. Okay. That's fine. This is just an idea, right? And we obviously have to step and talk to a lender who would know exactly what the terms will be for each credit score. But this is just an umbrella idea. So, because some people don't know anything. So, anyway, so the next one is good, right? So you see the range there, 70 to 739 for good. And then fair, it says that you still get higher rates, but you can get approved, right? So you might have higher rates, like higher interest rates, but you can still get approved at 620 to 699. And then we go into FHA products, which are not just for low credit scores, but people with lower down payments, people with and with trouble with their credit history. So, but again, credit scores are not about perfection. It's about positioning you where you can get the best rate and the best deal, right? So that's all we want. Okay, it's not a report card. It's how can I get you the best deal? And which loan product, will do that. Okay, so let's get off of that. Next is DTI. So this is another thing that I think someone on Facebook has said, hey, did you talk about DTI? And I was like, no, this is my first live. It's just an umbrella view, but just really quickly. So this is debt to income ratio. So this is one of the terms that you will hear a lot about, but I don't feel like, even like me, no one really explains what DTI is. So let's try to simplify it as much as possible because I don't like things that are overly complicated. Like I heard once, if you can't explain something in one sentence, then maybe you don't even understand it. So I want to explain it in one sentence. So basically, DTI is your monthly debt payments, how much you owe everybody, divided by your gross income. Okay? So that's one sentence. So I kind of understand it, right? So it's your DTI is your monthly debt payments, your car note, your credit cards, every other thing that you owe, divided by your gross monthly income. So for most conventional loan, lenders look at DTI. This says around 43%. Again, I'm not a lender. I'm a realtor. So I want to be sure that any number that's on these slides, it could change based on the lender you're talking to. So we want to make sure. But the average on the internet says 43%. So as I put on the slide, maybe I should have put a range. But here we are. So, okay, here I am. So here we are. So anyway, a lower DTI means better loan terms, more purchasing power, less stress when you own the home because you don't have, your income is not so close to what you owe, right? You have a little bit more leeway. You have a little bit more room for error, which I like. If you've ever read The Psychology of Money, room for error, that's me. I would love to have lots of room for error. So, so next, and if your DTI isn't where you want it to be yet, that doesn't mean that home ownership is a no, right? It just means like not yet. You got to get a plan. I've worked with buyers who've actually had to pay down debt before they were able to purchase a home, and that's fine. That's just planning. Hey, in the next 6 months, I plan to pay off my car. In the next 6 months, I plan to pay off these credit cards in order to reduce my debt to income ratio. That is not something scary. That's just a plan that you need to put into action. So anyway, let's get off of that because it's not supposed to be about finances tonight. But the last thing is, yay, by the air horn, burr, 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 interest rates have dropped, right? So buyers have been waiting to hear that. Every buyer has been telling me when the interest rates drop, then I'll go ahead and look at purchasing a home. Well, now they have dropped. They are under 6. And, I've heard different reports. I had one lender text me 5.875, and that was on Saturday. And, it's great. And I heard something today in one of our classes. One of our seasoned real estate agents said that at this point in 2026, there are more people who have had interest rates who have had interest rates over 6 than under 3, right? So at this time, you look at that and you say, wow, there are more people who have interest rates that are over 6% than under 3%. So that means these people are moving, right? People are doing what they need to do. Either they're needing to move, they're wanting to move, they found the perfect home. So it is happening. So now that interest rates are coming down, it's a perfect time. This means that you have more buying power, and possibly a lower monthly payment for qualified buyers. So definitely need to lock in these rates while they last. And you can lock in your rate for, I believe, about 90 days. So okay, and that's another thing. When you hear this, it's like, okay, I need to rush and do this. No, it's not about rushing, but it just means like you want to be ready if the right home shows up. So if you've been intentional and you're motivated to purchase, go ahead and get pre-approved. So moving on, finally, step 2, the home search. And to me, this is a very exciting time. I do home tours. So obviously, this is what people want to see. The home search process, when you actually get to go inside homes and see what's going on. So finally, we're at step 2, and this is where I want to reset some expectations, because a home search process looks kind of like, well, a smart home search process. Let's say that a smart home search process looks like, first, previewing properties online. And it like hurt my soul to say that to you, because I know y'all just want to go and search and look, but you really want to start online. I think most people do anyway, right? Most people start to heart and favorite online. And then once we get to the scheduling, the showings part, that should be intentional, right? We're just not going to go see any home because you're curious about it. Like, if you need a 5-bedroom, we're not going to go look at a 3-bedroom just because you think the outside is cute. That makes no sense. So, right, we want to be mindful that, hey, this is serious business, and I want to be mindful of your time and obviously mine as well. And then viewing homes that actually match your needs, kind of like I was just saying right there. And then writing an offer when it truly makes sense. Which I just want to say, this is not about viewing every single house. And I've made that mistake before, just letting view every house that they want to. And it honestly, I feel like it's discouraging. It's not encouraging, like, oh, okay, yeah, like you got to see what you can get. No, it's discouraging because the house is not in the condition that they thought it was. The house was more than their budget would allow, so now they're discouraged because they can't find another one that's similar to their budget. So it's actually very beneficial for me and you to work together to say, like, hey, let's narrow this down online first and actually have a strategic list of homes that we go see, so we can temper expectations. So and yeah, we only should be scheduling your favorites. We shouldn't be like, oh, I kind of like it, but I kind of hate it, but let's go see it. Like, no, you can go see it on an open house, I guess. But like, even then, that person's going to be calling you thinking that you're interested and you're really not. So, okay, so let's go to the next one. So key considerations. This is now, honestly, besides looking inside of home, this is kind of like one of my favorite parts, because I get to search on the MLS, the multiple listing service, of these things, right? So if you tell me, hey, Tiffany, see, I'm literally rolling up my sleeves. That's how excited I am about this part. Like, you tell me, hey, Tiffany, I want to live in, I've had people tell me this too. I do not want my kid to change the middle school that they're going to currently. Like what? I want a new house, but I don't want to change where my kid is going to school. Okay, right there. I can search on my agent platforms for a specific school district. Obviously, everything needs to be verified. Everything needs to be verified. But I'm saying we do have the ability as agents to search specifically for the school that you're looking for, not just the district, down to the actual school. And I've actually helped renters and buyers search for specific schools. And it works out perfectly because it's like, hey, especially parents know. They're like, hey, I don't even want to see a house if it is not zoned to this specific school. Perfect. So that's one thing about location. But we can do a lot of different things with location, whether it has to do with master plan communities, schools, your commute time. We can search by commute time. That's really cool too. The second thing that I really enjoy searching by is the size of the home. Because some people get real nitty gritty about it. They're like, I cannot live in a home that is less than 2,000 square feet. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I just love how some people are calling me during this live. Like, please give me a moment. I know you see I'm live. But I'll call you back. But yeah, so like size is important. Like I said, I just had someone the other day. We're searching for 5 bedrooms. We're not going to go look at 3-bedroom houses just because you like the elevation, just because you like the neighborhood. Like you need a 5-bedroom. So that's another way we can search, and another way we will consider narrowing down your options. Because sometimes it's not always about 2,000 square feet, but if the layout is crazy, or if you think the layout is crazy, because I might not think it is crazy, but you think it's crazy and it doesn't work for you, next. Okay, so then condition. I tour a lot of new construction houses, and I personally like new construction homes. I also like homes that are old. I like dwarf style homes. I like cottage style. I think I call it cottage. I like cottage style homes. I do. What I don't like about those homes are your top 5, your big 5. So your HVAC, your heat, your roof, your foundation. Like I don't actually want to deal with that. So like I would be the type of buyer that I'm like, okay, you like old homes, but you don't want to have to live through a reno. You might have to go back to the drawing board and really think that through. Do you want to have to fix stuff or not? And I just say stuff because who knows what it could be. If the house is old, and I'm talking like 20 years old. If the house is 20 years old, there are things that you're going to have to fix if that previous owner did not fix it. Shoot, if the house is 10 years old, there are things that will need to be fixed if that owner did not fix it. So you have to be mindful of that. And I understand new construction is not for everybody, but we have to be diligent about that as well. And we'll get to that I don't think we're going to talk about that today, like seller's disclosures, resale homes, and things like that. I don't think that's in these slides, but it is something that I absolutely look at. And to be honest, I'm thinking about it now. I should have put a slide on it because I have searched with someone for resale homes, and before we even go see it, like, hey, you send me this home, before we go see it, oh, I see the attachments on our end. We can see agents, real estate agent, your real estate advisor, like myself. I advise people, okay? I can see in attachments that seller's disclosure. When I go to that seller's disclosure and it said it flooded 17 times and the roof is caved in and the roof hasn't been changed since they bought it and it's now 15 years later, I'm going to tell my buyer, hey, I know you like the way this house looks on the outside. They have not. Are you prepared to either we can negotiate for a roof, but if they're not willing to fix it, like it's an old roof, old foundation, they're saying already selling as is in the agent's notes. Is that something you want to deal with? Is that something we want to deal with? So it's just having those type of very upfront conversations with my buyers so I don't waste your time and we can move along this process more smoothly. So, anyway, I don't think that's in here, but I just went off on a random tangent. Okay, so we talked about condition. But yeah, like expectations need to match reality. And if you can withstand a reno and delays of a reno, great. But do you know what that means? And do you have somewhere else to live while you're renovating? Are you going to be living in the house with your children and your dogs while they're renovating your kitchen? Like, you got to think through these things. And that's my job to advise you. Okay. Anyway, so then also something that I think is great to think about is future value. And this could be a tough one, and this could be a tough conversation. And I started out my real estate career as an assistant, and I have seen someone build something that, if this isn't your forever home, resale is going to be tough. I'll just leave that there. Okay. So my job is to help you see what others miss and possibly what others may avoid. I'm willing to have that conversation. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So the next slide is the fun part, right? Kind of. Ready to make an offer. So I've made a couple of offers in my real estate career, and it's fun. And that is where I really get down to work, because you say, hey, Tiffany, I want this house, and you need to go get this house at this price for me. I say, no problem. Let me see what the comparative homes in the neighborhood say. So the first thing I do is I do review comps. If you hear people say comps, right? So I use a couple different things. I use RPR and I use HAR to pull comps in the area that match the size, look, and feel of that house, right? I like RPR because it's not just a quick CMA like on HAR, but RPR kind of goes in depth, and I can handpick solds, like handpick 6 solds in the area in the last 3 months. I can handpick what's currently active, so that's basically the competition of that house, right? And I can handpick what's currently pending on the market and compare it to the house that you're interested in, right? And obviously, I'm looking at those things that we just came from. I'm looking at the location. How close is your house to a main road versus a comparable house to the main road? How big is this house, and are the square footage comparable? I'm not going to compare a 1,500 square foot house to a 5,000 square foot house. Like, there's no comparison, quite literally, right? So I wouldn't compare that, right? I'm looking around the same range. So if the subject property is 1,500 square feet, well, then I'm looking at the smallest is probably 1,250, and the biggest probably is 1,750, right? So I'm using that range to say, okay, what are the prices of those homes in between? And then even from there, I'm looking at the condition of the house, right? If this is new construction, okay, what did other new constructions do in the area? But if it's not new construction, it's resale, okay, so let's look at the year. If this home was built in 1995, well, I'm looking 5 years prior and 5 years after, and really that's it. I'm not going further out than that. If it's older, maybe we'll look at something different. Maybe we'll do a 10-year span, but really 10-year span on each side, but really I'm doing a 10-year span all the way through. So 1995, I'm looking at from 1990 to 2000 and comparing it to homes that were built during that time. And then after that, after I have my comparables, so maybe I have 6 solds and I have 3 pending and 3 active, now I'm going through 200 square feet up and down. Yeah, exactly. So what did I say? I said 1,500, I said 1,250 to, okay, so I did 250. Yeah, Kevin, exactly. I feel like we're on the same page, and I did 1,500 to 1,750. So I think I did 250 on either side. Kevin, tell me, what years do you do? I said I did 5 and 5. So if I'm looking at a subject property that's 1995, I am looking at things that were built from 1990 to 2000. I hope I'm saying that right. But 5 years prior and 5 years after. But yeah, I'm looking at that. And then another thing I'm looking at is once I have all my properties, I think that's where I stopped off. I'm looking at the pictures. I'm making it large on the screen. I'm literally picturing going through this. I'm making it large on the screen and I'm looking. Did they redo the kitchen in there? Okay, this is built in 1992. Your house is built in 1995, but your house they didn't redo the kitchen. This house they redid the kitchen. So I'm saying okay, negative minus on the subject property because they didn't redo the kitchen and maybe eventually you will have to redo your kitchen. Okay? So I'm comparing all these things. I'm comparing the location, I'm comparing the size and the layout, I'm comparing the condition, I'm comparing the year, and from there I'm building a story essentially around why we're offering the price that we're offering, right? So determine, and that's how we determine the price. And then obviously we have your budget, and hopefully we've stayed within your budget. So we're there, and that's kind of my job to put the guardrails on that budget versus what's going on with the competition. Now you're saying, hey, I really want this house. I understand that you told me it was worth 15,000 less, but we might be in a multiple offer situation. Let's offer the top of my budget. Cool, let's do it. But just know I provided you with the information that this is what this house is worth. But sometimes, you get buyers like that. They're like, I just want the house. I just want the house. I want it. I see what you provided me. Thank you for providing that to me. I just want the house. Great. Let's move forward. I'll write that. So this is also when we're including contingencies. So for example, a contingency that I'm currently working with, I don't know if she's on here, but she has to sell her house before she buys another one or rent out her house. That's why we haven't really gotten anything solidified, but she's either going to sell her house or rent it out. So that's a contingency. So if she had to sell her house before she purchases another one, we would have to write that contingency in. And then another thing we write on the contract is our option period, right? Which you pay for, but it's basically the option to say, I don't want this, right? So you have, depending on the house and the price and the size, 7 to 10 days. If we're on the buy side, I'm going to try to give us a little bit more time so we can get our survey and we can get an inspection and we can have all of our experts come out and look at the house. But yeah, we want to build in time to do that. So if something comes back that was not on the seller's disclosure, you can then say like, hey, no, you didn't disclose that. I don't want this anymore, and that gives us time to do that. So once you put in an offer, it's not a commitment until we do all the inspections and figure out exactly what's going on with that house, right? And you basically buy the option to be able to say, hey, I'm not gonna do this time. So and then we're setting a timeline. So when are we gonna close, right? And that's like, okay, I always text my lender, your lender, the lender that we're working with, and say, hey, what's our terms on closing? How soon can we close? I've had people tell me, oh, we can do a 14-day close. Great. But some people say, oh, we need a 45-day close. Okay. So either way, but we just want to be able to write that into the contract. And oh man, I wish I had one of those contracts with me, but that'll be another live, because again, this is very much high level. This is not meant to overwhelm, but just really inform. So yeah, we're setting a timeline that works for you, not necessarily the seller. And making an offer on a home shouldn't feel rushed or confusing, but you should feel confident that you have the data, that you know about this house. You know that you're about to find out more about this house, like from the inspections and the appraisals and things of that nature. Yeah, so I think this was really great information. Let's see, that's my last slide on today. But I think this is just, like I said, great way to just get a feel for the home buying process, right? This is not at all going to cover everything that we're supposed to talk about, right? This is literally 5 steps once a week, and I'm breaking down each step in the home buying process so you can get a better idea of what you'll be coming across when you decide to purchase. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, okay, this is finally making sense, thank you. If you're watching this and you're thinking, I still have so many questions, that's great too, because that means the more information you get, the more questions you have. And I'm that type of person. I'm like, okay, now that I know this, I want to know that. Feel free to send me a DM, send me a text, 713-805-9650. You'll get a quicker response if you text me. Because my DMs, y'all know I'm trying to get through those DMs, okay? And that's why I'm doing these lives. I get so many questions in the DMs. That's where this was spawned from, was I have so many questions in the DMs that I'm like, let me do a live, and maybe they will see me say the answer to their question, or they will text me. But I'm gonna get through those DMs. Don't worry about that. And you don't need to have everything figured out. What I do say is, I can stop sharing this. What I do say is that you don't need to have everything figured out. You just really need the right guidance. Okay. I need someone guiding. And, if you're planning to buy this year or even next year, like, these are the things you need to be doing to educate yourself to navigate the waters of purchasing or selling a home. And I would love to help you do that. So, yeah, that's it. It's been 36 minutes. I did good tonight. 36 minutes. I think last time I was just chatting. So, anyway, 36 minutes. And, that's it. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I will post the replay, however you do it, on both platforms. And, yeah, so this was part 2 of buying a home, part 2 of Buyer Guide to Home Ownership. And next, the next step in the journey is step 3, and we'll be talking about it next week on Tuesday. So basically, we did finances, step 1, figuring out your financial picture. Today, we recap that, and step 2, the home search process and what it takes to actually find the home of your dreams. And step 3, we will start off with what we left off tonight, which was ready to make an offer. So, good night, y'all.